Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wheelbarrow Poetry Society. We are very happy and privileged to have Mangaliso Buzani read for us this evening. I was deeply moved by A Naked Bone 2019, and I am very excited to just be in this space, in this virtual space, if that be the case. Manga, please tell us where you're reading to us from and that sort of thing. And when you're ready, please.
No, it's from the book that you have just mentioned, Naked Bone. I'll be reading from it.
Okay. And where are you right now? Are you back
home? I'm at Makanda at the moment. A festival starts today.
All right. Thank you.
I think that's all.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. The floor is yours. We all here. We all listening. All right.
So I'll just read. Whenever I feel something in my throat, I'll just touch my throat and sip some water. Yeah, starting to shake now. Okay, the first poem is The Rain. The rain, straight to the garden. The rain came wearing clear beaded shoes. It landed on the naked seat, which was fast asleep on its bed. The first sound I heard with my ears was the creaking of an old bed that needed some missing screws to tighten its legs. But the rain kept on falling. The bed kept on singing. Inside the river, inside the heart of the river, I want to be a sea dog, but this nose can't sniff the scent of umamlambo. Inside the head of the river, I want to be a writer, but this water can't keep the paper dry. Inside the shoes of the river, I want to walk like Christ, but the floor of the river can't keep up the weight of my feet. And I sing to read poems to frogs. The oven of God. Out of clay, from the oven of God, we came down here, losing our feathers one by one. After each star we left behind to be human beings, we lost more of heaven. For sex in the garden, 1 foot on a thorn. Brother, we must organize some shoes. Extract from A Naked Bone, prose poems. Tonight, we are not going to sleep. We are going to jump into bed with our shoes and continue to walk in our dreams. You on the paper writing poem, me behind the paper reading poems. We will do this together exactly the way lovers make a baby together. Before a pen, a prayer. Before a pen, a poem. Before a pen, a song. Before a pen, a story. Such energy, fire from a piece of paper. The wind is whistling. So where is your scarf, the arm of your lover around your neck? Once more, the bed brings closer the sweethearts to share one pillow. The wind sings, the bird sings, the song of the lovers. That is a street where all the lamps' lights are broken. There are no voices other than the sound of a cloud that is about to break into pieces of teardrops. The lightning, whose smile is just a fire. That's how you see your hole inside the skull of the soil. Today I'm face to face with death. I feel more drowsy than ever on earth. My eyebrows are heavy. I don't know when they gain so much weight. Because with these twin eyes, I still want to see the light, exactly equal to the way my eyelids want to cover my eyes. A naked bone, which is still thinking about what to wear for the day. A bone which has no shoes, an injured bone which recently lost its legs. The powerless child of an animal. Still they are standing to finish it with stones and hammers, to break into its holy house and steal its only life, its marrow. I don't think it is too late. We can still be together in this night. We can make the fire, see each other's face. The moon is high, but its touch shines on us. We can't play with that. It's too sacred to throw on the ground. Every day, wearing the clothes of a prickly pear, I ask myself when I got these thorns that fly out of my mouth every time I say a word. Is this the language a poet should have on his tongue? To swear so much that he disappears from anger. I believe one drop of God's sweat can make one drunk. After his hard work of creating the world, you can feel from the fermented grape what made him drunk when he was creating the drunkards. The sky looks so sad today. I don't know why. Whether it's because God is punishing angels in heaven or because of the sins we continue to caress with our holy hands. The sky is black, black like a crow on the crossbar of an electric pole, sensing there will be some dead meat soon on its plate of tar. It was beautiful last night. I ran my fingers through your soul with my palm facing the ground. You were soft like flour, rough like salt crystals when water evaporates. When I was caressing your billion particles of dust and life, Earth, my only bed of soil. I just want to sleep on you with my ear to the sound of your heart between your breasts. The fig gets all its lessons from the weather. It goes through the university wearing a green gown. Through long lessons, it gets the hips of a woman. The fig learns to master its work while it is still hanging from the branch of a tree. Through the levels of the institution, it goes around wearing a red gown with a yellow head, or a yellow gown with a red head. But the life of the fig is for birds and human beings. A nest has only one room, no private room for meetings or lovers. It has no kitchen to cook mushrooms, no bathrooms to bathe the young, but it has a veranda to view the world from, a queen-size bed of feathers and grass. It is full of music for the pink feet of birds to dance on. Dance on. I have never been happy in my life. With scars on my soul, I traced back footprints from my present size 7 to the unknown size of my woolen baby shoes. I hold a meeting with the fig tree, which was once dislocated my elbow. I asked the rusted nail of the fence, which once pulled me down by the turn up of my trouser leg, why it broke my wrist in the middle of the night in my sleeping neighborhood. Little by little, maybe that's how I was made. The sand is piling up before my eyes, making sculptures from the hands of the winds, with shells for eyes. God, your breath goes a long way gathering particles to build lives. One breath, 1,000 human beings. One blow, 1,000 graves. Dreams and bread. Stones are piling inside my head, reminding me every day about my failures. Last night, they stabbed me many times. Today, I wake up bleeding from my ears, my stomach singing its chorus song. Your dreams are not going to put bread on your table. Yeah. Kiss me, touch my neck, go down to my sacred stick, which once Moses used to hit the rock. Pick the salt of my body with your tongue. Our fire will cook love, and both of us will enjoy God's special recipe. Struggle to read that. Completely clean. Between the rails that seem to touch each other in the distance, the man walks towards his dreams, too tired to open his eyes. He approaches his death through the wheels of the train. At an instant, his body in two halves, His soul, wearing new shoes, jumps over his bones to reach for God. I will be gone. Clouds wept, the sun wore a black gown, mourning beforehand for my death. And I hear the footsteps of my coffin coming towards me. My poem begins here, so sick, wearing no clothes. It rolls down the road to the graveyard to tell the dead, I won't be here this coming Saturday. Okay, if you can, that's okay, sure. Tomorrow I'll be gone, hammered thin with stones. I will take only my soul with me and leave dead meat behind. You will choose a coffin for me, a spaceship to heaven, where I will wait for you, planting flowers in the clouds. There I will open a door for you, where lovers sing for God. Since there are no chairs in heaven, I will leave my bones behind for you to make a bridge to reach God. Out of options to live another day with my stomach close to my back, I will look to the earth, heartbroken. A pure voice calls me to come upon a blunt knife that has forgotten how to kill. I open a door for my blood to crawl on the ground, ears everywhere, ringing words. My soul reads an obituary for my bones. Manga is no more. Now that everything is over, I look at the river, no language, no science. The bones are no longer floating. The brain has suffered the same blow. At last, my heart is shedding light. After each word, I see God. To my family, today I will paint my house with warm colors. I will paint the table for 6 elbows, 3 chairs, for 3 bums. You will get your bowl, your spoons. I'll paint my love for you, your faces before my face. Smiling because you never smiled for me. Always a sour sugar, always a sweet salt, a sadness I cannot tell. Let me sip water before we go to sign language. Sign language. The lead singer was Lahliwe, my mother. And Tuki and Tonongo were the backup singers. They sang Utwa Sififo Samoya. We were their small congregation. We clapped our hands. Our grandmother hitting the side of the wardrobe because we had no drum. We were the ears to the singers. I wonder if they are still singing together behind the moon. My grandmother fell inside the bathroom and had her ribs. After that, she abandoned speaking because when she spoke, a pain like a broken bone stabbed her. That's why she chose to use sign language. We phoned the ambulance. Lucky it was near. It arrived within no time. Because it was me who was looking after her, I was sent with her in the ambulance to Livingstone Hospital. She was not attended to. She suffered in that hospital until she fell asleep. I went outside looking for bread and juice. A diabetic patient mustn't go for long hours without taking food. I woke her with bread. I ate crumbs only with my eyes. I also suffered in that hospital. There was nothing else in those 8 hours except polishing chairs with our buttocks. It was very difficult to cross the door frame of the room with you, Grandma, without bending over to pick up one of your teardrops with a tweezer. You were a washing line made of bones, strange stiff clothes that fluttered in the wind. Your wrinkled face that was showing the last days of its beauty. The world has reduced you to dust. So in the space of a minute, the wind blew you away. Hence the Reverend said dust to dust on your burial day. With the shovel 6 feet under the ground, I have hidden you. Now, an invisible flower, you speak with me softly saying, Manga, Manga, you are not alone. Ukhona uNyameka. Nyameka is around. Themba. Themba, my brother, sing your songs. The same Christmas songs we sang with combs both before a mirror. Themba, Themba, sing in me. Use my tongue. I'll talk about the strength of the worm that ate your brain and left you dangling on a rope. Sing in me. I'll say whatever in my last poem, that your body was full of earth. The house was swept clean. Dead but still alive, I punched the lid of my coffin up. The first particles of soil, small stones, dry pieces of graveyard wood had disturbed me in my deepest sleep. They all started running when I said my first sentence. I'm not dead. This is my time to write. Take me back to my maroon chair, from my grandmother to the cheap table my mother bought for me. The Reverend threw his collar and garments aside and ran. So did his congregation, my family, my neighborhood. I dusted off my body and threw myself into a nearby river. I swam to the deepest places of the river, free from shoes, socks, shirt, tie, trousers, and underwear. Yeah. Out of all the gifts we were given by God, I was given a glass heart. Someone broke it. Now it's bleeding. It's cutting my flesh with its sharp pointed splinters. I keep on dying a slow death. They set the coffin behind the curtain between the dining room and the kitchen. The mourners were there to welcome the body of their deceased. The welcome service started at 7 a.m. Just after the Reverend had opened the Bible to say a few words over the body, the coffin shook itself very hard, as if it was saying no to the word of God. The curtain fell down. The coffin continued to shake, making all the mourners run away. The shocked daughter asked, "What is happening in my home?" But the furniture had no mouth to say. And we too, we had no answers for what had happened. We concluded, like all the locals, Umama Kebetsiba, her mother was a witch. On his death day, he was much sadder than on his birthday. His heart was a drumbeat. His eyes were wide open, refusing to sink into the grace of his eye sockets. For the first time, he took a broom to take over what he'd always told his wife was a woman's job. Today, he wanted to pause that as if nature was a tape recorder. He took a feather duster, wiped off all the spider webs, washed the dishes that kept on knocking. He did a spring cleaning. The house was super clean. That kept on calling. The man kept on working. But that finally came in. He left his house, his spoon, his chair, his bed, his television, everything for another man to use his cup for beer. Temba, you took your life before your eyes could see the destruction we are seeing in this country. Everything fell down. I don't even know how I finished this poem because there's nothing left, not even me. Yeah. Shrinking next to the blossoming flowers. The books always take my chair and send me onto the floor. I lie on my side, sometimes on my back, with an open book completely a sky over my eyes. I'm all ears to the returning birds of my neighbor's tree. The raindrops cry out like donkeys. They keep me awake the whole night eating carrots, Tomorrow I will leave this room, jump into the grass, exercise with grasshoppers, a how high exercise. Who knows, maybe I can touch the moon and bring you back a sack of oranges from my mother who lives behind the moon. A knock on the door brings me back to the table to peel potatoes, make chips, cut the bread, and quiet my stomach. It is dark. By mistake, I cut my finger. It burns, sending sparks of fire around the house. At the corner, I see the red chair of my grandmother. Inside the glass of water, I see her false teeth swimming. Two little pink fishes with many bones. Swords for seahorses. I'm no longer hungry. The cats are crying like babies outside. Since the morning, two tortoises have been making love. They cry like me on the breast of the woman I love. Thanks. The voice of my grandmother in the distance, getting closer and closer. Grandma, to you I lied. I said I'm sick. I'm not going to be able to attend church, to have her in your house. Your cry, my cry, our sex this morning had made the reverend end the service early. We have irritated the ears of God. Listen now, somebody is knocking at the door. I can see it's my grandmother with the Bible inside her purse, knocking, and through her fist and through her fist, I can hear another voice. That's my grandmother. I step on the carpet naked. The dust rises up. My sweat glides down. The grass grows tall, same as my fears. I send my grandmother back and forth to the front door and the kitchen door until you escape through the kitchen door. We made that old woman drop her weight from 80 to 60 kg in seconds. Grandmother, I watched you shrink while your garden blossomed. Now these wreaths on top of your coffin turn our eyes to bees. We dart from wreath to wreath, trying to catch our breath as we read the writing of each flower. Yeah. I think I'm getting tired, but I'm about to finish. The handkerchief, if you can just lift it up. What is in the screen? Okay, I'll just read. The handkerchief was red. I pick up an old horseshoe on Somerset Street. It was when they were digging up the graves to fill up the street with new tar. Now at night, horses are running inside me. A wounded man at the corner is caracombing his horse with his fingers, maybe for the last time on earth, because there's blood on the street. I have hidden bones inside myself, lot of bones, light in weight, bones I carry everywhere I go with me. Down the road, when I go to Bos village to visit the remains of Siswawa in the dust. Bones I carry to Dubula to say, hi, Brabi, how are you doing? Passing their street, lots of dogs are fighting. Passing by, they stop with their fighting and come after me shouting, we want our bones. One crazy dog grabs me by the leg to taste my blood. The handkerchief was red, hard red. How I'm going to use it when a handkerchief feels like a bird? Someone whispers to my ears, it is made of blood. It was soaked inside the blood. The angel comes from heaven, gossiping to the stars all the way about my secrets of how I lost my hair to reflect the face of God. This talk of open wounds on Christ's hands will pass too with my saddest bones, the ones that keep on sending my hands to bandage my sprained ankles. I thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. Yo. should we put our videos on and just give Mango a round of applause? I've lost my krach, so to speak.
I noticed that.
Thank you, Mango. Wow.
Thanks a lot from you guys.
It was special.
I'm still here.
Yeah, you're still here. We already have some hands.
You can throw stones on me.
No.
I'll see if I can duck.
Of course,
okay.
Of course. There are some comments in the chat box if you. Yeah, there are no questions. Just praise for our poets. Okay, I'll just go in order as the hands appear. Brian, you have a question for Manga.
Hi, thanks, Mangaliso. As I said, I've been preparing my questions all afternoon. Actually, I don't have a question. It's a comment. I often, when I think how I value a poem, I often think that the poems are the poems I would like to teach. I would like to talk about them. And I remember teaching Mkolisi, I see he's here as well. I remember teaching a book of his poems to some American students, and it was great. It's wonderful to teach poems. So I often judge poems like that. But listening to your reading tonight and listening to especially that first series of prose poems, I discovered another way that I judge poems, and that is I wish I had written those. And especially that first series of prose poems, they moved me greatly. And I just wanted to say, no questions. It was really wonderful, and thank you very much.
Most welcome. Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. Ed.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
Hey. Manga, thank you. It was astonishing.
Welcome. Thanks.
Especially the poems about death. I found those very powerful and very moving. I think my question, I've got two actually. Your imagery, your use of imagery is always very striking, very original, very inventive, often haunting, often surreal, and thought-provoking. I guess my question is, were you always drawn to the use of imagery in your writing, or did this develop in conjunction with poets that you were reading, that you were influenced by? So that's, I guess, the one question. I guess I'm asking if you have a sense of how your voice developed, how it came to where it is.
Now, I think, if I'm not lying, but I think it's because of the influences from other poets that I've read, especially the Spanish poets. They have influenced me a lot with their use of images. I think when I read them, they just strike me with freshness, fresh images. So I would say it's because of the influence of other writers, especially the Spaniards.
Okay, I hear you, but I sense there's a bit of manga in there too, not just the Spanish poets.
Okay.
But I hear what you're saying. My other question is more to do with, I guess I have a sense of poetry being like and I suppose it is for a lot of people, myself included, like a mystical or a spiritual kind of experience. And a lot of the poems touch on religion. Maybe there's an ambivalence in a lot of the poems towards Christian religion. I'm just intrigued. And I wondered if you wanted to comment on any of that, how poetry relates to that.
Yeah, let me try. I like Mr. Jesus a lot. But I mean, that's how they come to my head. Maybe it's because of growing up from church, my grandmother going with me to church. Maybe those are the influences as well that contribute on how I use spirituality, bringing the names of God, of Christ as well in there. I don't know whether I have answered your question.
Absolutely. I think everyone approaches things like this from their own context and their own perspective. And for me, the poems transcend your particular upbringing or your relation to such things. So thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Ed. Jacques.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Manga, I'm really at a loss for words a bit, because I really felt your presence. I really felt we were in the presence of great poetry tonight. That's what I wanted to say. Wow, I'm just very, very moving, wonderful poems. I don't know whether this is a comment or question really, but I'm always struck by how you address parts of yourself as if they're separate from you. So you'll address your shoes, or you'll address your soul. And sometimes it feels as if it feels broken. It feels as if you're in pieces. And sometimes it feels as if there could be healing, as if you could talk to the different parts of you and kind of get them maybe to work better together, like in a choir or something like that. I don't know if you have anything. I mean, that's an observation. I don't know if you have.
No. I hear you. But most of the time, I just converse with myself, with the objects or the things that surrounds me. So that's how I go to poetry sometimes. Just converse with my shoes, with myself, with spoons, or with whatever that is around me. So I'm struggling to answer your question or your comment, but I think that's close I can
you
go.
almost don't want to analyze it too much. It just really works. You can look at yourself from the outside and say, you know, manga is no more. That's an incredible thing to do, and it makes all kinds of things possible. Thank you. I think you have.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. That and there are many lines that have stuck with me. But particularly in relation to Jacques' question or comment, is that little by little, maybe that's how, little by little pieces, maybe that's how it was made. I think it's very beautiful. And there's this a sensitivity in the language, which is quite remarkable. It is suspended that same degree of sensitivity, and this shift in narratives. There's some moments it's this little boy, and then there's this student, and then it's very transporting in that sense. And yeah, for me, I think it's the writing a poem, that activity, the craft is it's very much an account of the self, and we pour all of it into it. And so thank you for that. Thank you. There's a comment there's a question in the chat box from Mary. It's a question about translation. She wants to know if you write in isiXhosa and then translate. If you maybe want to speak about when you do write in translation, about the process.
No, because poems they come in a particular time to me. If they come in isiXhosa, I read them. I write them in isiXhosa. If they come in English, I write them in English. So I think these two languages just give one another a chance to go to the page. So normally I don't translate my poems of isiXhosa to English or the English to isiXhosa. When they visit me, then that's when I just throw them over to the other side, to the page, to write in isiXhosa or in English.
Yeah. Who's coming through today? Which mode which way do we? It's very, very relatable in that sense. I do think that she had another question. All right, should we do one last round? Oh, Jacques, your hand is still raised. I don't want to keep you for too long. Okay, sit down. All right. Any last questions or comments for Manga? Okay, go for it, Jacques.
So I'm interested in. I love this thing that you say, that before, you know, before there's a pen, I can't remember exactly how you put it now, but before there's a pen, there's a song or a prayer or a voice. I wonder if you want to say something about that, because that rings very true for me, and it's a wonderful idea. If you want to say something about that, that the voice comes first. Oh.
Yeah. No, there are always things that sing or talk to our ears, you know. It's a matter of just lending your ear to whatever that comes to your ears. So with that particular poem was trying to present that, because sometimes when these poems come, you just hear music coming to yourself. So I think that's how I can answer you.
I love that.
Most welcome, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mary. Yeah.
Unmute. Just let me, I don't know if you can hear me if I go back to the chat.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to read what I'd written because the imagery is so so strong and powerful. So to Mangaliso, and when I asked if you wrote in Xhosa, and then you answered, Ed, that you were influenced by the Spanish poet, which I can hear also in your poetry, but I can also hear your own voice, which I just the word Mhlabeni comes to me, that they're coming from the earth, and they're so rich. So just particularly the one I kind of heard was you escaping your coffin and taking off your socks and shoes, shirt and tie and going naked to the river. And I just wondered if that was a metaphor for decolonization or a baptism, or if you even had a particular meaning behind that other than those words.
No, I'll just leave that to everyone.
Okay.
I don't think I'm free to answer that. I was trying to escape it even before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Most welcome, Mary.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your honesty. Yes, of course. All right, I wondered if it would be cheeky of me to ask you to read us one last poem of your choice in closing. Would you be open to that? And then as it ends, I will stop the recording and we'll say our thank yous.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will do that. I will read completely clean. I remember Brian Walter was one of the people who was helping me to edit that poem when I was a student here at Rhodes. Completely clean. Between the rails that seemed to touch each other in the distance, the man walks towards his dreams. Too tired to open his eyes, he approaches his death through the wheels of the train. At an instant, his body into halves, his soul, wearing new shoes, jumps over his bones to reach for God. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Manga. Thank you for your time on behalf of all of us present. all of us present and the Red Wheelbarrow Poetry Society. We look forward to reading and sharing your work. Thank you. We just give Manga one last applause. Thank you.
And thanks for you guys for inviting me and the guys who are present here to be a warm welcoming audience. I really appreciate that.
It's been lovely listening to you. Really, it has.
Thanks, Ray.
Indeed. I'm going to stop the recording.
Sure.